Hi there. This is Get Informed with Wajeeh. I am Wajeeh Lion, coming to you live from the United States of America, covering and answering your questions about the Middle East before you even have to ask. Well, in this live stream, you do have to ask, I guess. But while we wait for everyone to come in, let's talk about some business. Business, Habibi, let's talk about some business. Today, or I mean, 2 days ago, I confirmed the project with the designers regarding the t-shirt. It looks good, but not too much beard in the picture for me, huh? I have a grimmed beard in the picture, but a groomed beard and the t-shirt, but I think it's okay. Or you guys want the beard, huh? I don't know. Otherwise, let's talk about some like, subscribe, and share. You are here in the live stream. Share it with your friends. Put it in the group chat. Well, you can't put it in the group chat. I should put it in the group chat. You could tell I'm a little slow today, huh? Here you go. Add this right here. Good morning. Good morning. If you haven't subscribed to Malcolm Nance yet, I hope you do. This guy is always going to most interesting places. I haven't even been to the UK. My family has, but you know, I have not. Uh, when I heard he's there, I'm like, I need a dispatch box. That dispatch box will probably sit right over here somewhere. I'm telling you, I'm bougie for some reason. I have no idea why. Like, you see this Mont Blanc pen right here? I demanded my grandpa would give me his Mont Blanc pen when I was still in middle school, or like maybe like before middle school. Grandpa, please give it to me. No, please, no, please, no, please, no, until he gave it to me. I don't know. You call that blackmail? I don't think so, but grandpas do crazy things. He's I love him so much, though. God bless his soul. He's no longer with us, but every time I see it, I remember him. Gas is $4 or $5. Damn. Some places in the US is already reaching $9, $8 a gallon. Should I show you guys? Well, let me grab this closer so I could read your questions and comments. I'm not on Malcolm Nance's podcast. So, California, yes, in California it is expensive. And now, uh, what is also very crazy is that you have places like Korea where they're running out of oil. And they use oil for their heat, they use oil for the electricity, they use oil for everything. So they're going like, whoa, what the hell do I do now? What the hell do I do now? A little, yeah. We're getting to 150, $50 a month. My utility bill went up. Yeah, yeah, $50 a month is good compared to me. I'm paying 250 and I live in an apartment building. Don't ask me how. Thank you, thank you. Well, listen, if you got interesting cultural hats or if you got really nice hats and you don't want them, send them my way. If you got nice pens that you don't like, also send them my way. A former advisor for Hillary Clinton, a nuclear physicist, when I was in college, gifted me his fountain pen. So I collect a lot of things and I collect, historical stuff, dispatch boxes and stuff like that. I got a taste to historical stuff. Um, are you guys ready to ask some questions? Are we ready to dive in into the Middle East? Did you see? Oh yeah, I need to talk about this a little bit. I need to vent. You guys saw my article yesterday about an LGBT tourist company officially has tourism plans for LGBTQ people to visit Saudi Arabia. Did you see that? I took it down and I had to republish it because I didn't like the way I wrote it the first time and I need to edit it a little bit more. So I took it down and I published it again. But the reality of the situation, I maybe I need to put it in the group chat. Y'all have not seen it yet. Maybe it's a good opportunity to discuss it then. Hi. Thanks for your patience. Today is starting a little slow because it has not hit 9 o'clock yet, and I wanted everyone to get in, but I haven't fully pulled out all the documents that I wanted to pull out for the talk show. So I do appreciate your patience. Now, while I'm pulling out my document, if you are not a subscriber, or if you are not a premium member, and you cannot afford my premium membership, please send me a message with your email associated with the account that you have on this platform, and I will happily gift you a year subscription on the house. Uh, if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing for free. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps me a lot in the long run. We're reaching 9,000 subscribers total on this platform, and we're etching toward the 10,000. Um, I'm also getting a lot of financial support because of a lot of your kindness. So, anyone else that wants to donate money for people so they can get a premium membership, message me in the DM and we'll talk about how you could do that because I've been getting a lot of people asking me how they could donate money for other people to get a premium membership on the house. If you message me as well, I'm more than happy to talk to you about how we could do that. Um, if you are not a premium membership, if you don't have a premium membership and you can afford one, it's only $5 a month or $35 a year. I purposely made it very, very, very cheap because I don't want it to cost you more than a cup of coffee a month, or I don't want it to cost you more than a meal, a dinner out uh a year. $35 a year is a steal in my own opinion. I genuinely wanted to make it affordable for everyone and anyone to get one, and also that way anyone can feel the fact that they have contributed to this podcast by, becoming a member, by making it more accessible for everyone. That way, everyone that could possibly afford it feels like they have contributed it. I don't want, you know, and I don't want the finances to be a burden. So if you can't afford it, just message me and we'll give you one on the house. I'll give you a whole year on the house, no big deal. Um, so Saudi Arabia's public investment fund holds about $925 billion in assets as of 2025, demanding unprecedented return on mega projects like NEOM. The state might have bridged a critical gap. Evolving tourism GDP contribution in 2025 came up to 5%, which is a huge uh, deal because that was nowhere near 1% 5, 10 years ago. But the goal is to reach 10% of the Saudi GDP. The goal is for Saudi Arabia to reach tourism to be 10% of its economic GDP in Saudi Arabia. Well, why is this important, Wajeeh? Why are you telling us Saudi Arabia is trying to become the largest country that welcomes tourism? Back in 2021, 22, I was one person that has one of the most luxurious um, tourism companies in the US, who's a gay guy, reached out to me and said, "Hey man, Saudi Arabia is wondering if I could use my company to promote the tourism industry in Saudi Arabia for LGBTQ people abroad." And that was shocking because someone like myself, the first openly queer person from Saudi Arabia, I have a death sentence on my head just for being queer. We know people that lost their lives just because they're a member of the LGBT community and they're Saudi. So hold on. Now, Saudi Arabia, once they announced that they have Vision 2030, they found themselves sitting on a dilemma. On one hand, they have the Sharia laws, they have strict conservative Wahhabist ideology, which is the most extremist ideology in Islam before you go to terrorism, which is what influenced a lot of people to become terrorists out there. It's Wahhabist Islamic ideology, right? The same ideology that have justified slavery, the same ideology that has justified public execution, the same ideology that has justified uh, cutting hands off, the same ideology that has encouraged jihad, the same ideology that has done that has criminalized other thoughts of moderate Islam, the same ideology that said feminism, LGBT community, and not being a Muslim should be punishable by death in the kingdom, is now facing an economic demand from the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, which is opening the kingdom for the first time to foreign tourists who are not Muslim to come in and out and enjoy the kingdom without the consequences of the Sharia law that exists in the kingdom. The global LGBT luxury tourism market is valued at $357 billion in 2027, a high yield demographic. The Saudi Ministry of Tourism requires this liquidity to achieve its 100 billion total tourism spending target by 2030. I'm pulling out some numbers real quick. That's when you see me quiet. I'm doing some business for you guys, okay? Because I don't like to feed you misinformation. Okay. When we look at France, and France is considered number one, my friend. France is considered number one in international tourism. The yearly average of many people visits France is 90 million to 102 million visitors. The Saudi government is trying to break that number. They're trying to have more than 100 million people visit them a year. But the current number of how many people are visiting the kingdom a year is at 30 million people a year at the moment. It used to be 27 on 2023. It used to be 20 and 22. It used to be 16 million. And I still, yeah. So for year 2024, 30 million Westerners visited the kingdom for tourism. So the kingdom understands that they need to make a lot of concessions in order to gain that foreign tourist number into the kingdom. So they started working with All Out. I think that's what they're called, All Out or some other nonprofit. And they asked them for consultation. How do we like get these LGBTQ people to visit us in the kingdom without like having us to change our penal code or without having to do any constitutional changes? We want to welcome foreign LGBT tourists to the kingdom, but in the same time, we don't want to change the laws. So what is this telling you? Basically, the Saudi government is like, okay, we're gonna put our gay people in Saudi Arabia either in a zoo for you. So Westerners can come in and take a look at the people, and the Westerners can act as gay as they want, act as queer as they want, right? And walk inside Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, the Saudis are the ones, the animals sitting in a zoo watching the Westerner acting as gay as they want. World Cup is coming. They want gay people to come for the World Cup. They don't care what's your sexuality as long as you pay. They don't care. Show me your money, baby. I'll show you who you are. The problem is what happens once one of these members of the LGBT community gets caught having sex or making out with a Saudi. Or there's chemical castration in the kingdom. We have, you know, conversion therapy with shock therapy. Uh, we do all the crazy things that have been done medically to gay people and proven not to give any results. We still do it in the kingdom. And if none of that works, there's no problem. We execute you. But these gay guys have a lot of money. So there's a company called VACAYA, Vakaya. And market 2027 departure of Vakaya Arabian Nights cruise. Arabian Nights. Come and we'll arrest you. And the kingdom, no rights, just nightmares. You'll go to Jeddah, you'll board the Emerald Kaya. It acts as a micro level exchange of the state economy pivot, where the kingdom is testing the water, huh? Meanwhile, Vakaya is making bank. You know how many companies the Saudi government went to begging them to have LGBTQ tourism in the kingdom? I personally know of a few because they have reached out to me and they were complaining. Arabian Nights. No rights, no rights. Let's see what's next. The legal reality is the state has engineered a two-tiered system. A high net worth foreign nationals receive a transactional immunity from a strict Hanbali Wahhabist judiciary. Conveniently, the domestic citizens remain subject to systematic repression for same-sex relations, facing indeterminate detention and capital punishment. I think that's quite clear. I don't need to do much explanation. I've been explaining this for a second. So basically, the kingdom has created its own don't ask, don't tell policy, similar to what the US military used to have. In May of 2023, the Visit Saudi Arabia portal discreetly updated it is frequently asked questions side of the website to state that visitors are not asked to disclose personal details. Let me add this. This policy satisfies Western corporate risk assessment without requiring codified legal reforms. Remember when I started telling you guys a couple days ago that the Saudi government goes out of their way and pays companies like McKinsey and goes to hire more than 500 former U.S. senior officials to navigate the political arena and the legal system of the United States? That is exactly how they're using it. Outsourced enforcement. The 2019 public decency law shifted morality enforcement from the abolished religious police, Al Hay'a, that's what they're called, to civil authorities forcing exclusivity on public uh, interactions. So, how you present yourself in public is easily can put your life at risk in Saudi Arabia. People say that the Al Hay'a, the religious police, have been abolished, but realistically, they are still around. They're just not used on a routine basis. The ministry is still there. The people that used to work in the ministry are still working for it. So, no pride flags, no public affection, no dress. There is a dress code that you have to follow, and even then, members of the LGBT community who are I'm a this is crazy. Are you ready for this? Porn stars from the LGBT community and non-LGBT community have been going to Saudi Arabia and filming porn movies and videos inside the kingdom, even during the most holy month of the Islamic month and during Ramadan. Arabian Nights. Arabian Nights. Let's not have sex, but we'll film it there. Someone explain it to me, please. We're talking about the Arabian Nights. I need the red fez hat, not the black one. A red Trez hat, not the black one with the red in it. Money, Habibi, money talks. Bullshit walks. Let's see. Oh. Let's see. What kind of questions you guys have? You guys should ask your questions now. I'm kind of almost done. So the crown prince is kind of in a prisoner's dilemma situation. For Mohammed bin Salman must balance economic modernization, requiring foreign direct investments against religious conservatives, requiring ideological purity. Require like those religious conservatives are requiring the ideological purity. The Nash equilibrium is achieved through the current selective tolerance model that's allowing the state to extract tourists' revenue and sanitize the global image without triggering a domestic revolt. There's one question here. There's some questions. Awesome. I like questions. The question goes, are there people who particularly fortunate telling witchcraft is present and has been present in Arabia for thousands of years. Unfortunately, for the last 1,000 years, mostly, it's been punishable by death. You want to invest in Saudi Arabia? Come invest in me. Why you go to Saudi Arabia? I'm right here. You don't need to go to Saudi Arabia, Habibi. I'm your ambassador. Question: Is is us or Trump still investing in Saudi Arabia? Of course, the investments is not gone yet. Question: Why do people want to go to see Saudi other people on display? Well, people have been obsessed with travel for a long time. People are still looking for adventure. They're looking for new places to visit. Most people don't know that the Saudi people are set to be on display for them. They just see an opportunity to go and they go. And I will say that the LGBT community in the West lives in a bubble. Not all of it, but especially the privileged members of the LGBT community, they live in different world. The classist world does not separate whether you're gay or straight. The reality of the situation that we live in a classist society and that rich gay people are just like other rich people. They don't care watching other people on display. That's the reality. That's what rich people do. They use other people and they want to get away with it. It doesn't change. Classism is classism. You can go to San Francisco, you can go to San Diego, and you can watch it and display how poor LGBT members are discarded and rich LGBT members are living a bubbled life reality that has And if you ask them anything about, what it means to live a homeless, gay life in the U.S., they have absolutely no clue. They have access to the best medicine. They have access to the best. Um, does racism and homophobia exist regardless of your class? Yes, both things can be true. You can see many examples of black people in history in the United States who are immensely rich and very privileged and are disconnected from their society. And yes, they face racism and discrimination from the rest of the society or from the US system. Both can be true. But it doesn't mean that you are not classist. It doesn't mean that you are not from a specific group. And a lot of times you'll see people that exist in that class who refuse to be educated constantly be surprised. I've known a French guy before I came out who is from the 1% of France. His dad is a hedge fund. His mom runs half of the fashion shows uh, in France. And we were talking, and when I came out and I was under threat of being kidnapped to Saudi Arabia and I had to apply for asylum, a year later, he was like, "Oh, I visited Saudi Arabia. I saw gay people practicing," and he's talking about privileged gay people in Saudi Arabia who, like, their family support them, but the society don't, right? Oh, I went to parties and I saw gay people partying. I'm like, motherfucker. These people have their rights in Saudi Arabia. What are you talking about? People have their rights in Saudi Arabia. Oh yeah, they were experiencing amazing time. I want to go back there and I want to go and meet more people from there. That's what happens when you're a classist. So he's going back and forth to Saudi Arabia, telling me that the laws have changed, and I know that the laws haven't. Telling me that gay people are living their life amazingly, even though people are gonna want to find ways to have fun regardless of the law, regardless of their geographical location. They're going to try to find a way. What he doesn't know, if Al Hay'a or any of the police shows up in the middle of that party, everyone would have been thrown away in a police car and gone to prison, and the Saudis would have not been heard of again, and this French ass boy would have been sent back to France. Like, subscribe, and share. Invite your friends so they can join the conversation. Next question. Next question. Habibi, someone is talking about Grinder and Republican. Every time there's any sort of Republican conference in a city, Grinder crashes in that city. Next question. Next question, Habibi. We don't have to talk about being just that article. We can talk about anything. The Saudi government does surveil me, yes. I know that for sure. My shoulder is okay. I woke up, it was hurting this morning, so I might be taking my medication. Although I did take my medication, it's starting to take care of the pain. Which missing scientist and where? How's the clinic treating you? Man, I filed 3 complaints, 4 complaints. They finally responded. It's okay. Let's keep it shut for now. GOP would be less angry if they had come out. I know, man. I've stopped using a lot of Adderall. A lot of people don't understand Adderall and Vyvanse is just the meth, that has been made in a lab and legal means for people to use. I used to take Adderall for my ADHD and dyslexia until I found that out. So, that's why you notice a lot of people who take Adderall and Vyvanse all day, every day, like Donald Trump, they're always pissed off and angry. And I'm Arab. I'm already angry. I don't need to be on Adderall or Vyvanse. Anyone, what? I don't understand your thing about the university. Things have been moving fast here. One of the Allied missing scientists was murdered by a fellow. Send me the news for that. I'm interested about the scientist. Ah, question: how closely do you feel Putin and Trump are coordinating? I definitely feel Trump, Putin blackmails Trump all the time. I feel like Putin has something on Trump. Let's go to the group chat, huh? I know I asked you to put the questions there. Do people want to go see other people on display? Rich people do, yes, I answered that question. How are the various sports events being impacted now going forward in the Gulf region? I was listening to a couple of people in the that been to the Olympics on a regular basis talk. They say it's very, very steamy high over there. Everyone interacts with everyone else, and I'll leave it at that. So that's the international sports for you, huh? Question. NATO without US financial possibility? Yes, NATO without the United States is possible, and they're looking at it. NATO allies are constantly talking about it between themselves. Next question. If you guys stop having questions, I might come to an end to the space. So just, or maybe I'll bring up, I've written a couple articles recently. Hold on, maybe I'll bring one. You guys saw yeah, I haven't talked about this yet. So, I also posted another interesting article yesterday that was very, very, very short about the Kiswa, the clothing of the Kaaba, and how each year the Saudi government spends almost $10 million at its own manufacturing facility using some of the most luxurious things our plant has to produce to make the Kaaba clothing, to honor the Kaaba and to honor anyone that's visiting the Kaaba. Because people go to the Kaaba and they bless, get blessed by it, and they wipe their hand on it. And the walls that the Kaaba has, not all made the same. One of the walls has the door. That is the most important wall, considering the writing and the stuff that's on it. Jeffrey Epstein was gifted a whole wall, and not any whole wall. He was gifted the wall that has the door of the Kaaba. Now it has the most iconic writings on it. That has the most collectible value for a lot of the religious people. So I went out of my way and did some investigation to how much something would cost a regular person to go if someone to go out of their way to want to buy the kiswa, the clothing of the Kaaba. So, like I said, the kiswa is a sacred black clothing that covers the Kaaba in Mecca. It is manufactured annually from premium silk and heavily uh, gold and silver thread through it. When I did my research, I got a certified 1 square meter, 102 centimeters by 83 centimeters, and it's certified by the a museum in Mecca. The fragments of the kiswa does not have any embroidered silver or gold on it. It doesn't have any of the iconic symbols on from the Kaaba on it. It's just simple black with no decoration on it. It's just the black part of the Kaaba. And after reaching out to a couple of certified dealers and asking how much it would cost, that 102 centimeters by 83 centimeters with no embroidered gold or silver would cost about $30,000, not considering shipping or taxes. I just wanted to put some monetary value on something that shouldn't have any monetary value on it. Because something like that is considered a religious treasure. It's, the size again is 102 centimeters by 83 centimeters. You can find the article on my page. The unsealed documents indicate that the financier Epstein, the rapist, the pedophile, acquired a massive size, wall size section of the Kiswa from the door of the Kaaba. Given the $27,000, $30,000 baseline for a small, unembroidered fragment, the financial value of an entire gold adorned wall is astronomically high. Astronomically high. That's how I pronounce it. Astronomically high. The ability to export such heavily guarded, monumental religious artifact out of Saudi Arabia state control indicates highly irregular back channel access and immense capital expenditure, or in my own opinion, immense amount of power. What we found out is Epstein not only had a sophisticated spy network, he also had a well documented blackmail that reached out to everyone that he knew to get whatever he wants. Someone is saying ridiculous. Yes, it is ridiculous. That's why I'm talking about it. I have to cover two more articles. How did Epstein become so powerful? That is a very old story, but his connection to the Gulf states go back all the way to the Cold War. Epstein's connection with the Middle Eastern countries started with weapons trafficking and working with Adnan Khashoggi, not the journalist, his uncle, I believe. And that is how he started his connections in the Gulf countries. I want to talk about the collapse of the Omani mediation architecture. I want to open another topic if you guys are done with those questions. So was Epstein blackmailing MBS or something? Um, Not really. He didn't have to blackmail MBS, but he can be blackmail businessmen and other stuff. MBS had enough interest in working with Epstein for business dealings more than anything else, or to how to bypass the U.S. dollar so they could be selling oil to China without having to face any sanctions or use the dollar by starting a cryptocurrency with Islamic Sharia bases called sterling, and they would use that to deal. Uh, and so MBS needed to work with Epstein for several of Epstein's idea. Um, Under Sultan Qaboos, which is not the current Sultan, the Sultan before him, Oman operated as a highly effective, small and quiet mediator. For example, the 2009 US Hiker release, Secret 2012-2015 JCPOA back channels. Under Sultan Haytham, which is the current Sultan, Foreign Minister and the current Foreign Minister Sayed Badr Sayed, they had to abandon this peace negotiator out because of Trump. They found out that their peace talks and their efforts to get the peace ending with Trump and Iran was betrayed on and on by the Trump administration. Do you think any of the Gulf countries will kick the US bases out? They have already been kicking US bases out. Do you feel that this administration will ever be held accountable? We'll see. I don't think so right now. We'll never know all the horror during Epstein region. Well, we can keep searching. Could Oman build a pipeline across the country? They're thinking about it. The public miscalculation ahead of the February 2026 U.S. Israel military campaign, Operation Epic Fury, Foreign Minister Al Busaidi engaged in public messaging asserting Iran flexibility, claiming directly contradicted by the US intelligence and Iranian nuclear acceleration. Post US strike, Al Busaidi published an aggressive op ed in The Economist defending Iran ballistic missile strikes against Arab states and blaming the US and Israel. This effectively terminated Oman's credibility as an impartial negotiator. What you can't blame the Omanis, they've been busting their ass trying to get some sort of peace talks with the US, and the United States and Trump in particular just dumped that all in the trash. Someone is asking, are US bases in Gulf states are still operable? Yes, they are still operable. Military campaign metrics. Following the collapse of the 2025 US-Iran nuclear negotiations, the United States and Israel launched a 38-day joint campaign beginning in February of 2028. I think it's now 60 days. Coalition forces flew over 10,200 stories, destroyed over 13,000 Iranian military targets, and successfully assassinated the supreme leader Ali Khamenei and top negotiator Ali Larjani. And Ali Larjani is supposedly supposed to be much more moderate than everyone that is in power right now. The Iranian saturation responses, Iran and regional proxies launched approximately 6,400 drones and ballistic missiles against GCC and Jordanian targets. Oman isolation, the GCC rapidly considered under Saudi leadership at an April 28th summit in Jeddah. Oman was absent from this, despite a unified GCC diplomatic freeze against Iran. Oman actively hosted Iranian foreign minister in Muscat. Consequently, the U.S. formally omitted Oman from its public list of cooperative regional partners. So you constantly see the United States come out, and particularly Trump. Oh, the Gulf nations been amazing. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait keeps outing them as continuing to support Trump. The only country that you keep not hearing it being mentioned is Oman. The trade asymmetry where Omani economy relies heavily on U.S. maritime, a 190 million surplus, and receiving a significant FDI aid in 2024 and 2025. But if you remember, U.S. aid was shut down recently because of the Trump administration. Its economic engagement with Iran is structurally superficial. I'm talking about Oman. Nominal trade volumes are dominated by re export smuggling, with true direct Omani exports to Iran with $6 million in 2025. So the oil trades they did with Iran was only up to $6 million. Looking what else was good here to mention. I don't want to be wasting your time. Modeling the GCC security dynamic. Uh, yeah. Let's see what questions. Any chance Oman and Iran could control on side of uh, the Omanis said they don't want the Iranians offered the Omanis to be part of this $2 million a shift, and they offered to split the bill, but Oman said they're not interested in that. It seems to me that Trump doesn't care if the global economy, yeah, he doesn't. If the global economy collapses due to the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. No, I don't disagree. Trump doesn't care how the global economy is affected. Each have own control of their side. They control, but they're not getting part of the $2 million that Iran is getting. Myanmar and Africa is a good example of US aid being removed and China stepping in. That's right. China is the one making becoming, the stepping in instead of the US aid. And the scary part about that is we've been using US aid to send our CIA agents. It's a really amazing cover. for our spies to go in anywhere we want to get more information. So by us removing USA, we shot ourselves in the foot. I don't think he even understands the global economy. No, he does not understand the global economy. I'm sure you can answer, but do you think they can initiate and infiltrate the US government? I have no idea. Who US amongst always do you think they will be there will be food and medicine shortages? There's already food and medicine shortages and it will continue to increase, yes. Any idea why the stock market isn't reflecting? Because Trump is doing his best to manipulate the markets, and the market is slowly realizing it bit by bit. We'll see. Manipulation, yes, manipulation. Consequently, consequences of the new things. I have no idea. I'm not familiar with the what Canada is doing as much, to be honest. I need to look into that. If you send me the news, I'd appreciate it. I'm not sure I'm a wealth of information. I just know a little bit. If I'm wealth of information, I would be with Fritz Zuccotti or something. What is your feeling about the US dollar losing its standing? It's preventable. It's preventable. Last night I was watching boxing and they were still promoting the Riyadh season. Yes, they still promote. I don't think they have dropped the boxing yet, but they've definitely dropped live. They're considering other things to drop. Mama says it's all been preventable. That's right. Hey, when I have money to make my own book, huh? Help me, help me. I wonder if the petrodollar is on its way out. It is on its way out. The petrodollar, been yeah, I've been screaming my lungs out for the last 2 months. The U.S. media is no longer a reliable media. You know, I want it to be like someone on BBC, on CNN. I want it to be someone, on, there's few news sources like AP, NPR. Those are like Now, those are good sources that I trust very much. But then you got like now joke, so like almost like joke. I watch it just because I have to sometimes, because there's no better option. But I've been noticing that what was it called? Ground news, is that what it's called? Yeah, ground news. I've really enjoyed this app called Ground News, and basically it gives you all the publications that have published on a particular story from all the way to the right to all the way to the left, and it basically tells you which news stands on which side. I strongly love it. I think it's amazing. Gives you all, and you don't have to subscribe to all the news, each news channel. You just subscribe to Ground News, and yeah, this is not a paid promotion or anything. This is just genuinely like something I have been enjoying, and I would recommend it for a lot of people because it puts all the sides in front of you. France 24 is okay. What a story break. The AP version is the best for breaking news because they just give you the simple bulletin facts with no opinion. Hmm. Any of you want to donate their Mont Blanc pen, text me, okay? I need a one oh. Ah! Thank you for teaching us. Oh, of course. When a story breaks, I prefer to send the AP. Yes, AP is the best. I start physical therapy in a month, I think. They did so the surgery was they did something here, they did something on the top, they did something on the back, and then they did something on the bicep. So they definitely need to have the hand not move for a while before I do anything. Al Jazeera is good. They are closer to the Muslim Brotherhood opinion, but they are good. Here's my take on good news. As long as you understand what channel stands where and how they stand, you are better informed. So you can read the news, take the facts, and put the opinion on the side if you want. But as long as you continue to train yourself to take facts and put opinions on the side, and the more you understand which news channel stands has what kind of standing, the better you continue to understand where they're like what their bias in and what they kind of don't have bias in. That's why I was recommending ground news because it kind of gives you where everyone's standing in the spectrum. Do you did it? Do you hurt lifting weight? Of course, I can't lift anything. Do you ever say how you got hurt? Oh, I was working. I was just working. I was a power lifter at some point. I'll give you guys a little extra time to write your questions. Today I covered like two topics or two main topics. I covered like the Saudi LGBT community and tourism industry. I agree. PT, physical therapy, history. What do you think about the flotilla that has been trying to get to Gaza? Listen, since I was in high school, I remember ships have been trying to take humanitarian aid to Gaza, and I remember that Israel intercept each one of them and throws and like torture people or hurt them or whatever that are trying to bring their own ship, even though these ships have like independent flag vessels, so they're supposed to keep going. What do you think about the bill to have? That's fucked up. Warrantless surveillance is in the house is crazy. Also, I'm telling you, there are companies out there that sells surveillance system for your home without you having to get a Google or a Ring or any of those online subscription surveillances. All of these phone surveillances that are connected to one of these big name companies, they take your information and they put it out there, and you don't have the security and the privacy that you think you do. There is several brands out there. I need to take the name out and I'll give it to you guys. And the nice thing about it is the receiver is at home. It's not anywhere else. So you keep the receiver at home. The camera is directly connected to the receiver, and it's only like $400, and it's like you get like five cameras or something and the receiver. And you just install it around the house, and you put it in the receiver, and that way you keep your privacy to yourself, and no one, it's not hackable unless you have it connected to the Wi-Fi or whatever. Um, there is good ways where you can have surveillance at home without depending on Amazon or depending on Google to use their cloud sources. So your privacy is essentially eliminated. Can you tell us about MBS giving Jared so much money? We talked about it in the live stream with Justice Kate. I recommend that you go to that live stream, and we talked in details about how that happened and what they got. Jared Kushner got from Saudi Arabia $2 billion after after the first Trump administration. I love SNL. Blink unfortunately does share your information with it is owned Blink is owned by Amazon, believe it or not. Yeah, China could be in your living room. That's why you should buy one that has you don't need to buy the specific brand I'm bringing, but like here's the feature you would be looking for a security surveillance at home or for your business. You want camera system that's wirely connected to a receiver at home. Now, there are some out there that you can connect the receiver to the internet, so you still get notifications on your phone, but that's an additional feature. But the actual two features you want is cameras via wire. The wires, you need to have someone installing them in the wall so no one can cut the wire for you and hack it. And also that wire goes directly to a receiver, and the receiver basically holds the memory of that. So you hold all that information. The recording for a Justice Gate interview is out if you want it, either on my YouTube channel or on Substack. Epstein did acquire many sacred items from the Middle East, yes. I'll find you some of the best systems to recommend and I'll put it out there. I'm not going to recommend something in the middle of the show without me double checking the facts. The conflict between Israel and the Muslim world is a long topic that we can discuss another time, or I could write down an article about. Oh, what do I think about the future of independent media? I have no clue. I watch the YouTube replays of SNL, no TVs, past 14 years. That's right. That's how I do it too. Yeah, the nice thing about Ground News is they will give you all the publications that have published about the specific news that you're wanting to listen to. If I get teacher wages I wouldn't be making a living in the United States. Teachers don't make enough wages. I need to be paid like a CEO. Just joking. Unfortunately, teachers don't get paid well. But yeah, I appreciate. Yes, the Muslims and the Jewish world have also, the I need when I talk about this in my research, I have to like include that in it. Well, a lot of people don't understand that the formation of the Israeli state and the fact the Israeli state has several wars against the Palestinians, that was the original cause of why Jews were kicked out of all Arab states and Muslim states. Before that, Jews were like a large part of most of Arabic populations. whether it's Iraq, Syria, Jordan, um, Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Morocco. All of these countries had Saudi Arabia, uh, the Gulf nations, they all had large population of Jews, and it wasn't until the formation of Israel and Israel started taking Palestinian lands that a lot of these Jews were starting to get kicked out of Arabic nations. And the interesting thing is Arabic nations weren't smart enough to keep the Jewish populations, because when they kicked out the Jewish populations, these Jewish populations went to Israel and they further contributed and the colonization of Palestine. Um, so when you look at the bigger picture, you start seeing a lot more stuff. My favorite history, proof and change, and my favorite history professor in college said there is no solution when two people want the same piece of land. It's something to think about. The education, the most important thing, and what we have done to it here. The United States had in the past some of the best education system. Right now, you don't have the best education system. Simply put, like that. Yes, basically. Um, me weren't Jews kicked out of Arab countries after Arab countries attacked Israel? And according to Arab countries, they didn't attack Israel until Israel started attacking Palestine and kicking out the Palestinian. That's what I was trying to say. But I'm a big believer in a two-state solution. But unfortunately, the Israeli leadership that we have does not want a two-state solution to begin with. I got a used the Middle East of dummies. That's a good one. Many were safer in Islamic nations than Europe. I don't know about that. Muslim countries or the khulafa or uh, the imams or the former leaders of sultanates or they were racist in their own ways. They were charging taxes to Christians and Jews, and when they were invading any nation that wasn't Muslim, that nation had three options: either to convert to Islam, pay taxes, or go to war. I don't think these are good options to begin with. So both have sides to the issue to be mentioned. Yes, we did dismantle our education system when we took down the Secretary of Education and the rest of the office of the Secretary of Education. Korea, Japan are some of the best in education, But if you send your kids there for education, they're going to be there or even on the weekend and even after hours of school is over. So they're spending most of the time in class with their classmates, studying, studying, studying. They're typically geniuses. I have been often mostly intimidated by my Japanese classmates and Korean classmates when I first moved to the US and I was put in ESL. Oh my God. Every time I met any of my Japanese or Korean classmates, or even some of my Chinese classmates, it's impressive how serious they take this shit. And they typically look at this American education system as a joke. Uh, Even if you meet some of typically Chinese, I met many Chinese students that came to the US, and typically there's two sides of the Chinese students that come to the US. Either they come from a very rich family that owns a business and they don't care, or they came here on a scholarship because they're geniuses. And those geniuses that I met, they can put our whole system into shame. Back to questions. Oh yeah, we were taught not to take any of the American education system for granted, especially that I went to one of the 100 best high schools in the US. Any other questions? I think we have passed the 1 hour and 15 minutes. So I'm trying to figure out if there's some important questions I need to cover. If you're watching this right now, you are coming by the end of our episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're definitely watching a recording. Please like, subscribe, and share and comment. It helps us more than you think. If you are watching this and can become a premium member on Substack, please consider becoming a paid member. It helps us pay the bills and do this every day, all day, so you don't have to do it all day, every day. If you're watching this and you want to become a paid member and you cannot afford becoming a premium member, send me a message with your email associated with your account, and I'll happily give you a year membership on the house. And if you are wanting to donate a premium membership to someone else, send me a message in the DM and I'll happily help you show you how to do that. Uh, if you're not subscribed at all, shame on you. I know 50% of you come in here and not subscribe. Hmm. Taking the knowledge without our support. Support us, free rider. Be a part of change. Make our life a little easier. I'm not asking you for money. So, like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Maybe tomorrow. Oh yeah. Also, from now on, every Friday is paid subscribers Q&A only. So put it in your calendar. If you come on Friday and you have no access to the live stream, it's because for special people only. You have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow. مع السلامة. Bye bye. وبالإنجليزي goodbye.